Hits like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. The first star was James Dean. Elvis Presley, yeah, he's still the king. Some things are only imitatable. You can't beat an original.
Hey there, friends and foes. Welcome to a very special impromptu episode of Back of the Cereal Box. It is not Saturday morning. It is actually Saturday night. And along with me, Jonny, is Crayle and Kale from Cryptid Crunch and Cosplay Cafe, respectively, on the Cereal Box Network. And Crayle also hosts the Gilmore Sisters podcast, which is, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we've just spent, well, you've spent the last 2 days at PopCon Louisville. I've been here for part of the day today. Mm-hmm. And
it's the best part of the day when Jonny shows up.
Oh, listen to that.
I got to see a magic trick. It was amazing.
You did. And so
my mind was utterly blown.
You had never seen magic live before today.
No.
Only on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had this conversation, Crayle, that on TV, you know, you can always think, oh, there's some kind of edit, or, you know, there's, you know, mirrors, or, you know, CGI, but you got to experience it 6 inches from your face, in your hand, and it hurt you.
It did psychic damage to her. I walked up at the end of the trick, and she was laughing and looking shocked, and she grabbed my arm and walked me away from Jonny. It was like, how did he do that? And I was like, I don't know. A magician never reveals his secrets.
My CPU stopped processing for a moment, and I was like, I just met this man. What has happened?
So Kale and I have met on video, but today was the first time we ever met in person.
Yep.
And can I say this without insulting you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I know what you're gonna say.
She is so much more diminutive than I thought she was gonna be.
That's the first thing David and I said when you walked away too. Is I was like, I've only seen her from like here up. I didn't know she was this short.
Oh, so short. Yeah, I'm 4'9".
She's adorable.
She is adorable. She's adorable from like here up on the camera too, but
I mean, when I saw you, I thought to myself, oh, I just want to scoop her up and put her in my bag and take her home.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but besides being blown away by my performance, which you got to admit, anything after that paled in comparison. And I only say that because there was a magic show here, which was good, but nothing they did on stage compared to what I did for you in person.
No, I was like 40 or 50 feet away from that, and I was like 6 inches away from you, so it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, besides that happening, what is the best thing that you've seen during the last 2 days?
Oh my gosh. The fans have really come out here for Louisville. The exposition hall is so much bigger than the Indiana Convention Center, so this is a con that I am definitely not used to. I think I've walked like 12 miles today, and like I'm at like 9 miles today, so there's a bunch of cosplayers. All the costumes are just fantastic. All the artists are great. It's great to be in another state where you get to see a bunch of different artists coming from other places, so that's what I really like too.
Yeah. What about you, Crayle? What was the biggest thing that happened or that you saw over the last 2 days?
Well, I got to meet Scott Patterson today, who plays Luke Danes in Gilmore Girls. And so, first of all, like, star power. Oh my gosh, I was really excited about that. But also, the full title to the Gilmore Sisters podcast is Gilmore Sisters, a Rant Podcast. So I got to tell him to his face that his character that he played for so many years comes up in rant format really often, right? And so he said, a rant podcast. And I said, yeah, it's a rant podcast. We rant. And then I started quoting from Gilmore Girls. He's like, what are you doing? I'm ranting. You should know. I learned this from you. And he just kind of went, so my theory, I know from other interviews, I'm a huge Gilmore Girls nerd. I know from other interviews that a lot of times the cast members get kind of overwhelmed when people quote lines back to them from the show, because the scripts for the show, for the episodes, were like noticeably thicker, like physically in your hand, than for a lot of other shows at the time. One of the reasons they talked so fast is there was so much more dialogue they needed to get through to get there in that amount of time for them to run the episode at its normal, like, airing length. So I suspect that I just did that Gilmore Girls fan thing where I quoted a line back to an actor who was like, that must be from the show.
A show that I did, that's been 15 years ago that was on?
Too, yeah.
And if they're anything like me as a performer, when I finish a project, boom, it's gone from my head. I don't remember anything about it. I forget the script, the songs, everything. But now, Kale, I got to ask, have you ever seen Gilmore Girls? Are you a fan of the show?
I have not seen Gilmore Girls.
That's okay.
We can fix that anytime now.
I recommend that you watch it.
Yeah.
But even if you've never seen it, you've got to listen to their podcast. Now, here's the thing. I loathed Gilmore Girls entirely. I hated this show. But they started doing this rant podcast on the Cereal Box Network. And basically, they are ranting about the things that irritate them in the show that they love. But
we have some positive episodes, too.
Absolutely. You express your love for the show. But as I'm listening to it, I'm like, that's exactly why I hate this show. And now I've become a listener of their podcast because, one, Kelly and Crayle are so good together. They're almost hypnotic in their banter and their what do you call it, the synergy, the just the way you guys interact with each other. It's phenomenal. But you're also talking about the things you hate that I hate about that show. And now, but it made me start thinking about the Gilmore Girls, and they were doing an episode about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, where just casually you mention, is everyone like, are they vampires? Are they fairies? What's the deal? They never sleep, and they always have money, but they don't seem to have jobs, and what's going on? And that started me down a rabbit hole.
What is Babette Dell's job? She doesn't have one. Sorry. Okay, new episode.
Well,
I have banked it.
So I immediately sent an email to Kelly and Crayle, and I said, Stars Hollow sounds like the name of a fairy glen. And that started a snowball, and their latest episode that just dropped this past Wednesday,
Wednesday,
like dissects all of the theories about the residents of Stars Hollow. Now, I found it interesting, though, that you did not believe that Dean was paranormal or supernatural. See what I did there? For those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know why that's funny. Kale has no idea. But you suggested that he's just human.
Yeah, he moved into town like, what is going on here?
And he didn't stay long. Was his mission done, or was he freaked out?
We'll have to talk about it on another episode of Gilmore Sisters, a Rant Podcast. And we will be revisiting our most off-the-wall fan theories in 4 or 5 weeks because we've thought of more since we recorded the episode.
Yeah, you've got to. I know you talked about Lorelai's mom and her mysterious past, but I think there's a whole episode about her parents, in particular her dad, being a fairy king.
Oh, yeah.
Living in the human world. Because they don't live in Stars Hollow.
They don't live in Stars Hollow.
But they are fabulously wealthy. But do they ever, confirm where their money came from?
Well, Richard works all the time. He works really hard in the insurance consulting business. And every time he gets asked to explain his job, they're like, well, he consults on insurance matters. And there's no more detail than that. So I think actually what he's doing is probably sorting out problems amongst the other, Fae denizens who all converge on Hartford, like some sort of fairy capital, unassuming. You'd never guess it was there.
Well, okay. So Kale is completely lost. I love this. But those of you who are watching and keeping up, this is about to blow your mind. About shows I hate. So the theory is that my theory is that Supernatural and the Gilmore Girls exist in the same shared universe.
Okay, I do know Supernatural.
But you know what other two shows were also on WB and CW?
I mean, I can think of lots of shows. Which ones are you thinking of, Johnny?
Dawson's Creek and Charmed.
Oh.
Dun dun dun.
Oh my gosh, there's three Gilmore Girls. There's Emily, Lorelai, and Rory, and that's the power of 3.
But wait, what about this? Because wasn't the guy who played Dean also on Dawson's Creek? What if Dawson's Creek is another fairy glen?
Is he in Dawson's Creek?
I'm asking. I thought he
know.
was. I think this is a whole new theory.
I have to look into this. I have to research. I spend way too much time researching stuff about a show that I thought I already knew everything there was to know about.
This is what we do, basically. So, Kale, I'm so sorry to leave you, in the land of the lost on this.
Well, apparently I need to add Gilmore Girls to the list because it's an entire universe.
It is incredibly well written.
But also, you need to introduce our guest star.
Mothman.
Oh, yeah. So you picked this up at the con.
Yeah, I did.
Show it. This is new loot.
New loot?
Squishable exclusive. The boy.
Yeah, bring him up center stage.
Look at that wingspan.
I love this.
Can fly 100 miles per hour faster than a 62 Chevy.
All right, so you've heard my theory of what the Mothman is, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
As much as I love cryptids, and as much as I'm obsessed with them, and I do believe that some of them are real.
Are you one of the owl believers?
Not an owl.
No, okay.
But it is a harpy eagle.
Okay.
And if you guys do a Google search for harpy eagle, the pictures you are going to see are exactly how they describe Mothman. I mean, it's uncanny. That's got to be what it is. And harpy eagles aren't native to West Virginia, but it's not improbable. It's not impossible. And now they're having Mothman sightings at Chicago O'Hare Airport. No, they're not. It's a harpy eagle. I mean, as much as I want to believe that this is a supernatural monster.
The Harbinger of Doom? Look at those eyes.
Is he the Harbinger of Doom?
That's what he's been called. I mean, sites over Chicago, there's been reports of he was sighted over Chernobyl before that all happened. I mean, that's what they call him, but because of the whole bridge incident.
But why would Mothman, the Harbinger of Doom, care about the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia? I know it was a tragedy, but it's not Chernobyl.
No.
It's not 9/11.
Maybe he just
There
really
were
cares
reports
about local
that
events.
Mothman was at 9/11 as well. If you research it, there will be reports that he was there at Ground Zero.
So there was a new comic that came out this Wednesday about Mothman.
Reports everywhere.
And in the comic, Mothman is an alien who crashes in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Okay.
And he's trying to get his ship repaired and to go back home, kind of like E.T. But all these rednecks from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, they're like, well, hellfire, there's some kind of creature out there. We got to go shoot it and kill it and stuff it and mount it on the wall.
No, not Mothie.
Well, that's the story. That's what's going on in this comic. And it's actually really good. It's based on a story that Frank Frazetta wrote. You know Frank Frazetta?
I'm not familiar, but I'll have to look
When
it up now.
when you see his artwork, you'll recognize him. He's famous for painting naked ladies fighting dragons.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you now.
Yeah. Quality museum style art,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of that at Gen Con the other year. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, great art, amazing artist. He just had a thing for naked ladies on everything. Anyway, so Mothman comic book this week. Pick it up. You know what else I got at the comic book shop this week? This is kind of sad, kind of touching. So Tuesday, John Romita Sr. died. John Romita Sr. is the guy who basically created the look of Spider-Man and helped create Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane Watson, and he shaped the style, the style models for those characters. Well, he died Tuesday. Wednesday, they released a facsimile, a recreation of Spider-Man 135, I think it was, which is one of his most famous issues. It just was serendipity that it released the day after he passed away. So I picked that up in his honor. It's phenomenal. And I love it because they reprinted it exactly the way it was printed in like 1970 something, with the ads in the back and the X-ray specs and Charles Atlas bodybuilding course, and I did the bodybuilding course when I was a kid. Anyway, and it shows, doesn't it? Yeah. No, it doesn't. Anyway, some cool stuff at the comic shop. Kale's like, what is Jonny on?
No, I'm surprised that there's been a lot of cryptid art. There's several artists that have had Flatwoods Monster, Mothman art prints. I got a keychain. I picked up Mothie, so.
Anime Gravy does tons of cryptids.
Yeah.
They also do punny stuff like the Night Shifter. It's a werewolf drinking coffee because he has to go to work in the middle of the night. Stuff like that. You got some Anime Gravy art I saw.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Anime Gravy like mermaid and unicorn type
So
stuff in my house.
So Crayle, I know your Phoenix sister Kelly is a huge cryptid fanatic.
Oh yeah, bigger than me, and I like cryptids.
So you are too?
Yeah. I don't know as much. Like in Indiana, it's like growing up in Indiana. There's like the things in the corn, right? And I grew up like part of my childhood like way out in the middle of nowhere. Like my grandpa raises cows and stuff. And so when I was a kid, cryptids were too scary for me. They were too real. So I've only just started getting into them as an adult, where I'm like, oh, this is interesting to read about and hash over the theories and stuff. But like already when you live in a corn state, certain ones of us are just like, there are things in the corn, okay, and you don't know, you can't see it. You're not gonna go look for it because you'll lose your way in the cornfield, right? And so then Signs came out when I was in third grade.
What a great movie!
It actually is a great movie. Like, even if you don't like some of the parts of the plot, like there are a lot of legitimate criticisms of the film's plot.
No! Stop that blasphemy right now. That's a perfect movie.
It has the best jump scares, I think, to this day. Like, they did such a good job of, like, the gradual build-up to before you actually see anything. Like, the gradual build-up makes it so that even if some CGI or something didn't age, like, the buildup was what made it scary anyway, so it doesn't matter if effects did or didn't age. But
Have you ever seen Signs, Kale?
yeah.
Okay. So when Joaquin Phoenix reacts to seeing the alien on that video, that news report, that was my reaction. It was like an authentic reaction. It was so good. So
my
good.
heart still like stops a little bit every time. Like even now that I expect it, like yeah. So anyway, cryptids are new for me because M. Night Shyamalan and living in the middle of nowhere scared me a little bit too much.
Yep.
So, you know what cryptid freaks me out? The chupacabra.
There was chupacabra art there today at Louisville PopCon.
Today, I believe I know what it is. Like a lot of other people, we believe that it's a breed of hairless coyote. But not everyone believes that. I believe that. But back in the day, like when I was listening to the Art Bell Show, like in 1995, I was listening to it at midnight one night, and they were talking about the chupacabra and how it, just pops out of the shadows. And I was in this apartment building parking lot, and there were a lot of trees, a lot of deep dark shadow, and I was a little bit freaked out. I was like, chupacabras could get me.
Especially when you hear about what damage the chupacabra could do. Waking up with like 12 goats sucked of all their internal organs and blood, and it's like just one puncture hole, and it's like, okay, we're gonna be human Capri Suns in the morning for the chupacabra.
Human Capri Suns.
Vampiric hairless coyotes.
Oh, yeah. Chupacabra's no joke, but I mean, after watching Chupa on Netflix, they made him look so cute and innocent.
Listen.
That's dangerous.
I actually liked that movie for what it
cute.
was.
Yes.
And I actually like the idea of the chupacabra being an adorable, almost teddy bear-like creature with feathered wings. I thought that was a cool interpretation. Completely opposite of everything else in pop culture, but I thought it was cool. Now, have you seen the TV show The Irregulars? I think that's what it's called. It's on Netflix. These three teenagers are subject to scientific experimentation, and one becomes a chupacabra, a were-chupacabra.
What?
Another one becomes a succubus, and the other one becomes she can control people with her mind, or no, it was something else, maybe a telekinetic, I don't know, but it was really, really good.
Oh my gosh, that sounds crazy.
Yeah,
That does sound good.
it was good. Anyway, so speaking of not good things, I went and saw The Flash. You guys, have either of you seen it yet?
No,
I have not.
If you're thinking about going to see The Flash, do yourself a favor and go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Hey, have you seen that either?
I haven't, but I would much
I'm
rather
going to
watch.
see Spider-Man Friday.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it. But I'm just gonna give you a warning. It's the same story, but Spider-Man does it so much better, like 900% better. And because it's animated, there's no crappy CGI. There's beautiful animation. It's beautiful. But oh my God, you guys, The Flash. The last time I've seen CGI that bad was The Mummy Returns, The Scorpion King.
Oh.
You remember how bad that was,
Yeah.
Crayle?
Well, I don't have to try that hard to remember it. I just watched the movie last month. I'll probably watch it again before this month's over.
Yeah, it was that bad, and I almost got up and walked out in one of the first opening scenes. And you guys, my friends who are saying, "Oh, this movie set the course right for the DCU," no, it
I
didn't.
haven't heard anyone say that. All of my
I-
personal friends, I believe you that someone said it. I'm just saying my personal friends are all of the same opinion you are. The few who've seen it are like, it was not.
I mean,
no star-powered cameo could save that.
and I mean, the CGI was just so bad, and it's really the one of the opening scenes is where it's so apparent, and then look, the plot makes zero sense. I mean, I'm a time travel freak, and the movie is about time travel. Spoiler alert.
It's the Flash.
But at least the Flashpoint paradox and the TV show, when it dealt with the time travel, that it made sense.
I'm not excusing the plot not making sense. I'm saying it's not really a spoiler for a Flash movie to be about time travel. Like, it's gonna be okay.
I know.
Going to be okay.
It will be okay, and thank God James Gunn is starting from scratch. But even in this movie, there are indications that he's going to keep some of... Anyway, I almost got up and left 4 different times. I never do that, because I'm a movie fanatic. Like, going to the movies is my favorite thing to do. At least next weekend, or 2 weekends from now, is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. That I'm excited about.
You want to know what movie I'm excited about that's
What?
coming out somewhat soon? The live-action Barbie movie.
Yes.
I am so excited!
Do you know what? I think that's going to be the smash hit of 2023.
It's looking like it really could be. I'm actually doing a photo shoot homage to the iconic 60s swimsuit Barbie, who wears the black and white swimsuit and the black heels and the giant white
my.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my swimsuit is not exact, but people who are familiar with the look are gonna recognize it. I'm very excited.
I'm very excited about that too. I can't wait to see that.
What? Johnny's super into one of my photo shoots? I am surprised and shocked.
I'm one of your biggest fans.
Oh yeah. Appreciate you.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So one more day of PopCon. And you're going to be here tomorrow as well. I have to head back to Nashville. Now, Crayle, you're doing your Pokeballs, but you've got so much more. So this is going to go live in a little bit. We're going to post this tonight. But people on Sunday, watching this live on Sunday or later on tonight, they need to come to Indie PopCon, not just to experience all the cool stuff, the cool celebrities. Kale and I did a walkthrough and showed you some of those guys. But funny story. So I didn't know that what is his name? Dante Bosco, who was Rufio in Hook. I didn't know he was a voice on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yep.
And so I was like, wow, this is really cool that all of these people are standing in line remembering Rufio. And Kale is like, Johnny.
They're probably here to see Prince Zuko.
Well, and she says, but he was a voice in Avatar. And I immediately think blue people. And I'm like, wait a minute. Who was he in Avatar?
No, the good Avatar,
He's
Johnny.
restoring honor to Pandora.
And then who was it?
Ming Chen.
Ming Chen came over and he's on the video. And I'm like, Ming, back me up here. Are we just really that old? And he's like, yeah. Yeah, we are. Because he's the same age I am. So anyway. But they should come visit you, get some Pokeballs, and that's not how it sounds. Describe what you do with the Pokeballs.
So they are dioramas that are spherical, and the outer container, it's like an elevated display case for the Pokemon figure that I've chosen, and then it looks like what they're doing in the Pokeball all day. So are they on the beach? Are they having a picnic? Are they playing D&D? That one's sold already. You can't buy it this weekend, but you can order from me custom. Johnny will give you a link. And then I also do, like, I've got some resin art, like Charizard keychains and Cubone skulls. I have coasters, some of which have the Pokemon cards embedded in them. Some of them just have stickers, because some people don't like to see collectibles destroyed, which is basically what I'm doing there. I have mugs with scenes like it's Pokemon having coffee inside an actual mug. You can fit it on your desk at work. If you have room for a mug, you have room for a Pokemug. I've just really, really expanded the offering year after year. I've got 2 end cap tables now, and here at Louisville PopCon. So, and I'll be at Indie PopCon also. And
so will Kale and I.
Yes.
And you know what? So, are you a Pokemon fan? It's hard to tell.
I don't know. Am I? It's only been 20 plus years. You don't understand. When I was in 1st or 2nd grade, I asked my mom for one of the little packs of 10 Pokemon cards. They were a couple bucks. And she said, no, I'm not buying those for you. Those won't even be popular anymore this time next year. And so now I've been telling her I told you so for years and years and years, that my full-time job involves buying Pokemon toys and writing them off on my taxes.
Now, Kale, are you a Pokemon fan?
I am. I have a Pokemon tattoo.
Do you really?
Yes.
Where?
It's Pumpkaboo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've already talked to Crayle about doing a custom of Pumpkaboo and his little spooky Pokeball.
Now, are you just a fan of the show, or do you play the game? Do you do Pokemon Go?
Oh no, I play
toys?
Pokemon Go. I've played all the Pokemon since I was a kid. I grew up on Nintendo and Game Boys. I have a Switch now with Arceus in it, so yeah, I'm dead set.
But I brought this up to Crayle about 1.5 years ago. We did an episode about Pokemon specifically.
And who else was he going to go to?
Right.
Yeah.
A Pokemon episode.
And of course, I'm not a fan. I'm familiar with it, but I'm not like a fan. My son is obsessed with Pokemon. And of course, D. Barty, who rejects the entire premise of the show, had no clue about the Pokemon. But I brought this up, and I'm curious if you've thought any more about it. Does it not seem incredibly irresponsible to send these children to a training academy and then set them loose on their own in the wild to collect wild Pokemon specimens and maybe survive, maybe not? I mean, am I the only one who has thought this?
I have heard arguments before that that's a reflection of, that it's part of Japanese culture to send children, on errands alone and things like that a lot younger than we would in the United States. But you're not sending them to get a jug of milk is completely different than, here are the rubber gloves you need to make sure you don't get electrocuted by the thing that's supposed to protect you in the wild. Now go get attacked by a flock of angry birds the size of you.
I know.
That's just in episode 1.
No, you know what it is? Here's what it is. The people who are creating Pokemon are Gen Xers. The people who created Pokemon are my generation. They're Gen Xers who, listen, we grew up latchkey kids, where your parents put a key on a string for you to hang around your neck so that when you got home from school, you could get in the house because they weren't there. And you were on your own to cook, to do your chores. And look, we would get on our bikes and we would ride. And your mom thought you were just riding around the block for 8 hours. No. In those 8 hours, we rode 10, 12 miles to the next town. We built a fort in the woods, a den. We danced on railroad tracks. So I'm saying Pokemon was created by the people in my generation who grew up basically living like wild children in the woods.
Yeah, that might be why it resonates with me so much, because I also, my parents, they worked or they had their own stuff going on. I had to entertain and or take care of myself more than some other kids my age anyway. And so I'd get adventurous with it, and my dad would let me walk wherever because he assumed I could only get so far. And one time I finally had to call him. I'm like, Dad, I need you to come get me. And he's like, did you go to one of your friends without permission or something? Did something happen? And I'm like, well... So we lived on the border of Whiteland and Greenwood in Indiana, if you're familiar with the area. I'm like, well, I'm somewhere on the south side of Indianapolis, and I don't think I can get home before dark. And he's like, did someone give you a ride? And I was like, no, I started walking at 2:30 p.m. Like, here I am.
See, that's real life Stand By Me. That's the plot of Stand By Me. Anyway, these are the things I think about and the things that I let my co-hosts ruminate on. So what do you think? Is it irresponsible to send kids out hunting Pokemon on their own?
They're not on their own. They have literal attack beasts that can protect them against others.
If they know how to use them.
They get
one thing, and then, one day to bond with their thing and pick, and then see ya. Hope you survive the experience. We'll see you at the next town for the big tournament. What?
You figure it out.
Pokemon X and Y has started trying to address that, where now they make you get your parents' permission to go on your adventure, and then it's like they send somebody who's a little older with you for a few steps of the journey to and it's it's still not.
Well,
your champion mentor or whatever that you get for the first whatever.
Well, the episode, the ones that I watched, especially for that episode, the first one, Ash's mom is like, time to get out of the house.
Bye.
Go make us proud. Don't die. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Pokemon. And
this is news to me. What do you mean we're not here to
talk
about,
that's your
about
life.
Pokemon?
But look, we've talked about Pokemon, we've talked about Gilmore Girls, we've talked about cryptids, we've talked about the disaster that was the Flash movie, and we've shared our favorite moments of Indie PopCon. By the way, I got to see Fran Drescher is the actress. Kale Drescher, one of the first female magicians to win Penn and Teller's Fool Us, performed today. And she did a really sweet routine.
Yes, it was really, really amazing. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. They had a good show. So anyway, that's it for us. So hope you guys didn't miss the Saturday morning show this morning too badly. Hope this makes up for it. I mean, if nothing else. I mean, you get Kale and Crayle.
And Mothman.
And Mothman. our guest star.
What more could you want?
There's not much more you could want out of life. But we'll be back next Saturday, with our regularly scheduled episode. And I believe we're talking about Power Rangers. And Drew Milden is going to be joining us to talk about Power Rangers Saturday Morning 101, why it's so important to see and be familiar with the Power Rangers to understand the celebration of the fun of the Saturday of our youth. So you want to tune in next Saturday at 8 a.m. And tomorrow night, Kale, you guys are talking about haunted dolls.
Yes. It's going to be a very spooky episode. Haunted, possessed items and dolls that carry spirits with them.
That's going to be on Cryptid Crunch on the Cereal Box Network. And Crayle, what's coming up next for either Cosplay Cafe or Gilmore Sisters?
Well, for Cosplay Cafe, we are letting our guest pick the topic who's lined up for our next first Friday of the month. So I'm interested to see what they come up with. Unless you want to be broke forever, don't get to the point that I am at and my co-hosts are at, where you have so many costumes now that it's like, hey, guest, you pick the theme. Because that's how it works a lot of the time. We let the guest pick the theme, and we're like, we've got something for that. Gilmore Sisters, oh gosh, we're going to be covering a lot of topics, but a bunch of them, one of the ones that I'm excited to get to at some point in the future is... in season 5, Rory gets a really, really negative performance review at an internship and spirals off the deep end so far that it changes her character arc forever. And I have 9 years in the professional world before I started building Pokemon toys for a living. And I'm going to talk to you about how not to respond to negative workplace feedback through the lens of Gilmore Girls. I don't know when it'll come up in the schedule, but I'm very excited to cover it, and I hope it'll be funny and entertaining, but also helpful for some of the young professionals out there.
Well, again, this supports our theory that Rory is a fairy because of the way she reacted to criticism and then her subsequent spiral downward and her complete disregard for the consequences of her actions. See,
no long-term thought. None.
I've been paying attention.
Oh, yeah. We know you have.
Anyway, that's it for us. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can support the shows on the Cereal Box Network at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. Make sure you like this episode, give us a comment, a thumbs up, share it, whatever platform you're watching on, subscribe so you never miss an episode. And until the next time, love you, mean it, and we'll catch you on the back of the cereal box.